Welcome back to the 2020 Take 2. I'm Jay Swanson, and I will be taking you through the 8th arrondissement today to see some of my favorite things, because that's what the 2020 is all about. I'm spiraling through the city, going through each arrondissement in order from the 20th all the way to the 1st, making a video in each to share 5 of my favorite things to help you have a better time while you're here in Paris. And obviously, that's like 100 things that I'm giving away, but oh so slowly through the videos. If you'd like to jump ahead and get all of my recommendations right now, you can go to ParisInMyPocket.com, get every single one of them. There's about 4 times as many of them in there, and they're all really good, and they're all gonna make sure you have a really good time in Paris, avoiding certain things you should avoid, and you know, this isn't one of them, but on the other side of this is one of them. We'll talk about that in a second. I need some coffee. Let's go get coffee. Noir. A lifesaver in a nutshell. I've been saving them because finding good coffee in certain parts of the city, i.e. most of the city, used to be really difficult. Noir has sprung up all over town, kind of like a very serendipitous weed. I'm very grateful that they're just popping up. They're opening up a bunch more stores. By the time this video comes out, I think they'll have 3 or 4 new ones open, one of which is gonna be in a really convenient location for those of you who are visiting, and I'm actually very excited for it. So thankfully they're here. Their coffee is consistently good. They're a roaster. You've seen them in some of my other videos. They have cold brew right now, which is really, really good. And thankfully, and I'm thankful for it because it's hot out. It's getting really hot, and it's gonna get even hotter over the summer. So not drinking hot coffee and instead going for something that's both cold and tasty and strong. Ooh, ooh.
That's the fruitiest cold brew I've ever had. That's good.
That's what I need. Their cookies, their pastries are all very good. Their lemon cake is really good. I actually really like their lemon cake. But out of their cookies, they've got 2 options, one that's praliné and one that's not. The praliné has hazelnuts in it. To me, it tends to be a little bit on the drier side, and I'm honestly never that big of a fan. I always feel a little bit disappointed when I get it. This one, however, has CBD in it apparently. Personally, I just like to make jokes about how I want the cookie with drugs in it, but I don't really think that it has any effect. However, this chocolate chip cookie is salted on top, gooey on the inside, a little crispy on the outside. It is a very, very good cookie, consistently so. The bakery that they get it from is doing a phenomenal job, and they should pat themselves on the back. Delicious. So if you want a quick pastry, you want a coffee, and you aren't sure if there's gonna be any good coffee near where you are, i.e. the 8th, or maybe even down closer to the 1st, like in the Concord Madeleine area, which there is another one down there, look them up. They're gonna save your bacon. And they don't have bacon, there's no savory food here, but the cookies might give you the caloric boost that you're missing. We've talked about this in previous videos, but a quick overview of the Haussmannian style. Not all of them fit this exactly, but the idea is that on the ground floor you have your shops, and then the floor immediately above that, the first floor in European counting or the second floor in American counting, is like storage or the shopkeeper's office, or maybe where the shopkeeper lives. And then immediately above that, the taller one with the banisters, the second floor, as it were, is where the nobles would live, or the wealthier people would live, or maybe not nobles, but where basically the moneyed people would live. They'd be the nicest, easiest to get to, because remember, you didn't have an elevator, so you didn't want to go all the way up to the top, and often the most spacious. And then as the farther up you go, the lower your station in life. It's kind of a classist architectural design, but basically, once you start at that 2nd/3rd floor, depending on how you count, the higher up you go, you know, the cheaper the apartment, until you get to the very top. And when you see those tiny little windows in the roofs, those are little apartments for like maids, helpers, servants. Not so much anymore. Now it's like students and people that are just moving into the city. I live in technically a maid's chamber, but it's called the chambre de bonne, and those are the ones all the way at the top. So those little windows actually belong to one poor, sad little person who's eventually going to work their way all the way down to one of the nice big apartments below them. That's the hope we have for them. That's the hope I have for myself. And that is more or less how the Haussmannian architecture works. Thanks to today's patron producer, Jeff Beltran, one of my oldest, I think my 8th patron, at least does still exist, and one of my oldest friends as well. He's also the guy that's behind the evolution of my guide into what it is becoming, the technical side of the team. Thanks, Jeff. I really appreciate having you here, and just wanted to honor you as one of my longest running patrons. My patrons, thank you to all of my patrons, are the ones that are also making it possible for us to afford to go see a giant Buddha and find fulfillment, if not in a spiritual sense, hopefully at least in a caloric sense. L'aventure commence à l'aurore de chaque matin, l'aventure commence alors. There are a lot of views that you can get in Paris, but this has always been one of my favorites. Not only because you get a little bit of a history tour as you're walking up, but also because the Eiffel Tower is so clear, present, and right next to you. And when people talk about getting the best view of Paris from the Eiffel Tower, I just have to disagree. It might be the tallest view in the city, but the best views of Paris always have the Eiffel Tower in it, and you can't get that from the Eiffel Tower, so you want to come somewhere like this. The other thing that I really like about the Arc de Triomphe is it's not so high that you feel like you're really above the city, but it's low enough that you're still kind of in the roofline while being above it. And we're on top of a bit of a hill looking down the Champs-Élysées, which we're going to avoid like the plague. But this part, the top of it, the crown jewel of the Champs-Élysées, straight in front of the Louvre, the Arc de Triomphe, gotta come up here. Napoleon built this as a hopeful triumphal entry in the Roman style for his armies coming back from war. But of course, he was stopped from finishing it because he was stopped from doing pretty much anything for a good period of time. And the English didn't permit the French to finish construction on this until long after he was dead, for reasons that history has proven to be probably pretty wise. So while Napoleon never got to see this one built, he did get to see the little one built. If you get down to the Louvre and you see the little Arc de Triomphe, he got that one put together. At least he got the baby, just didn't get the papa. It's kind of weird to talk about arches in that way, but you get what I mean. Anyways, the reason that it's named Étoile is because originally this place had a giant star on it. And so that's what it was named before they renamed it Charles de Gaulle Étoile. So if you can't really see it from the ground, but if you get up high enough to be able to see the stars looking down. Anyways, this view, highly worth it. Possibly my favorite view of the city. Even if though like the line wasn't terrible, so a couple of pointers. The line wasn't too terrible like to get in. Even we had a timed entry. We had to stand in line for a minute, but it moved pretty quickly. They also have an elevator. If you have limited mobility, you will have to do some stairs at the end here, but they do have an elevator to get you almost the whole way up. So do ask for that if you need it. Otherwise, it's 284 steps all the way up to the top, and you feel it, but you earn it, and then you're here, and it's wonderful. Arc de Triomphe, do it. Saint Augustine, the church, I think is one of the most underrated churches in Paris, to be honest. Just look at it, it's glorious. They cleaned the front half. The back half, I guess they gave up on because this looks really nice. The last time I was here with Jess a few videos, like years ago. Maybe during the last 2020 or an 80 and 8, I don't even know. They didn't continue the cleaning process, so we still have a ways to go for that. But this church, when I refer to it as being like the most Game of Thrones-y church, I am of course referring to seasons 1 through 6. Season 7 and 8 never happened. We're just gonna pretend that that's not even a thing. When you walk in there, between the smell, the wood, like there's just a vibrancy to the gold at the front. I don't know, it just has a very epic sense about it when you walk in. It feels kind of dark. It sort of feels like maybe it was built by a less than benevolent king, you know? It is also very unique in that it has like the electric street light chandeliers for light when you go in. The combination of like the wood and the stone and the metal, the space that you get even around the altar, the circular nature of it at the front, as well as like the stairs going down to the catacombs below, at least I assume it's catacombs below. I don't know, it just has a very unique feel to it. From like the sunburst rose window at the front and the Joan of Arc standing in front of it, to the wooden spire on top, like the red really stands out, the design of the dome stands out. Everything about this church just feels really different to me, and it's kind of wonderful. I really like it. Every time I come by here, I think, man, that's cool, and I think it is cool. So if you happen to be in the 8th, or you're anywhere near like Galerie Lafayette in the 9th, but you could walk this way, Saint-Lazare, the train station, you might want to take a little jaunt over here to check out this church, especially while Notre Dame is still unavailable for the next year or two. It would be a good stopgap, and there's very rarely anybody here. There are no crowds, you can just walk in. Pretty nice. More people should know about this church. I don't know how more people don't. Maybe more people do than I think they do, but then where are they? Why aren't they here? I don't know. I think it's cool. You can see where they've been cleaning it down there compared to here. They've made some real progress, but I don't know if they've kept it up. The front looks nice. The back, it's still cool. Just really dirty. It looks like they're building a wheelchair ramp, so that's cool. Paris is not the most accessible city. In fact, it's a lot of work to do here, but it's cool to see that happening. Also, if you go, so from this side of the church, and you just take this street straight up the side, you'll find this really cool stairwell up to a bridge that you might have seen in a few movies. It's a street going over the street. I love that. It's a really cool, just random feature of the city, and I always used to forget where it was. So just go to the front of St. Augustine, to the right, straight up, you'll find it. Monceau is probably the single greatest element of the 8th arrondissement. I mean, including the Arc de Triomphe. I love the Arc de Triomphe. If you're coming to visit Paris and you've only ever been once before, twice before, it's always worth a revisit, but a park like this is worth a visit every time. At least if you're looking for a place to relax, maybe have a picnic, go for a run. It's gonna be good. This is one of those Napoleonic era creations. First time I came here, I thought, wow, they've got like these excavated ruins. They've got columns. They've got all kinds of interesting things they must have discovered here, and they made a park around it. But sadly, no, not the case. It doesn't really matter though, because there is still quite the magical feeling to it. I'm a little bit too big and too old to go on the carousel. But that doesn't mean that I can't wander off into the grass, sit down with my friends, have a picnic, and then, you know, wander home after I've bronzed enough. It doesn't take long for me. Bronzer, that's to tan in French, and I tend to brûler, which is to burn in French. It's one of the, why are we talking about this? I don't even know. Anyways, Parc Monceau. You'll find it at the very northern frontier of the 8th. The 17th is across the way. You're not too far from Rue des Dames and Rue des Batignolles, which are gonna be really fun, lively streets. As far as actually good food to find around here, there is one restaurant in my guide that's not far from here. I need to go back and try it out again here sometime soon though, because it's been a while since I've been there, and I don't know that I gotta try that again. Anyways, don't stick to the 8th for food. However, we are gonna go to a place, an interesting bar slash nightclub slash restaurant. Give it a try here. I've been wanting to go for a long time. Looks crazy, looks fun. Hopefully it's not super overpriced and terrible. Another perk to this park, public toilets in this rotunda. Même je vais essayer d'expliquer en français parce qu'il y a du monde qui me demande souvent faire un petit peu en français. J'ai rien fait en français depuis longtemps, mais c'est possible que, en fait, on a cherché, je suis avec French Laura en ce moment, et on a décidé à choisir un endroit qui est ouvert, qui a une terrasse et de la bière, le vin très connu qu'on peut trouver un peu partout. Et c'est juste à dire qu'en fait, quand on est à Paris, il faut profiter d'être à Paris. Il ne faut pas qu'on cherche toujours les choses qu'on dit souvent, les bonnes choses, les choses que moi, normalement, je donne les recommandations. Parce qu'on est là, on peut profiter de la présence des autres qu'on aime, de la bière qui est froide pendant qu'il fait chaud. On peut passer un bon moment ensemble et juste bien, profiter de Paris derrière nous, ou un endroit un peu historique, on peut dire, dans l'intérieur. Il y a toujours une expérience à avoir, même si c'est pas exactement le café du moment, la bière artisanale, quelque chose comme ça. Les choses que j'aime, mais aussi on ne veut pas être snob. Voilà. Mais c'est marrant parce qu'à côté, il y a un café spécialité. Donc voilà, c'est pas qu'on est totalement loin de ça. Mais dans ce coin-là, ça peut être un peu plus difficile à trouver quelque chose spécialisé comme ça. Donc, s'il faut marcher un peu dans le 8e, on profite d'une terrasse avec une bière, le nom de quel je ne vais pas dire, mais c'est ça. On passe un bon moment ensemble. I'm just not saying the name because they don't need any more publicity. That's the only reason. Again, it's cheap, it's overpriced, but it's still tasty. We've come to a place that I've never been before. In the spirit of experimenting and trying new things, I have a friend who showed me this place on her phone once, and that's all I really knew. She'd been here, and because she was here for the nightclub version, but it's also a restaurant. We are in the Big Buddha Bar. This place is huge. It feels like it should be in a John Wick movie, to be honest, and the clientele and the pricing line up pretty well. I brought Tanisha Townsend with me, Girl Meets Glass, for her wine expertise. We've been wanting to hang out for a while anyways, and I was gonna get her to try and recommend a good wine bar in a neighborhood that I was struggling, which would be here, but then we ended up choosing to come here, and now she seems impressed by the wine list, to be honest.
So this wine list is actually really good. It's a lot of selection. They have a great by the glass list, and there are also a lot of organic, biodynamic, and vegan wines. And then if you wanna go really high end, they have some fancy Burgundies on the list. Coming in at, hold on, let me get to the page. Yeah, they have the Romilly Vivant for €1,080. The rest of the prices are great. If you're talking just your standard Burgundies, you can get those for 50, 60, 70, €40, 40 to 50 for your wines from the Loire. Bordeaux can get kind of up there. There's one for 2,000 on here. But then there's also one for 62. So you have a bit of a range. I mean, they will be marked up a little bit because we are at a restaurant and then we are at a fine dining establishment. But these are still normal prices. They don't do restaurant markups like they do in the States, where in the States it's like 200%. But here it might be like 30 to 50%. So it's not crazy at all.
We had a little bit of sushi as an entree. I had the wok fried beef. Tanisha had the octopus, and then we shared a tarte au citron, or a lemon tart, at the end with some meringue sprinkled on top, which is very good. This place does start out as a restaurant. There is a bar upstairs where you can go and you can hide yourself away. And then if you feel like staying all night, they do all night. This place, this Buddha, he looks calm and tranquil, but that's because he gets to party all night and get all that out of his system. It's pretty magnificent. Anyways, this has been Paris in My Pockets, 20 and 20 in the 8th. A place that, granted, I don't have a lot to offer on, but that's okay because I've got a lot more on the rest of the city. I'll be honest about it. We'll be upfront, but this place can go in the guide. This is a spot that I might come back for a special event with a group of people that are ready to spend a little bit. It's a little bit pricey, or maybe for a nightclub. Might have to give that a try. If you're in the mood, give it a try. Thanks to all my patrons for making this possible. Thanks to you for watching, and head to parisinmypocket.com to grab my guide. This is the only guide you're gonna need to Paris to have a good time, to find places mostly not like this, but occasionally like this, if they're fun. See you then.